walk up.
Yeah. Are you happy with this orientation? I can face.
You can. Are you comfy?
I'm comfy. Yeah.
Where's your cup? Where's your drink?
My drink's down here.
Bring it up.
Yeah. Nah, it looks ugly though.
It's a bar, man.
Okay.
Welcome to the pub. No, just kidding. To the kitchen table.
Got it.
There
we go. Big coffee cup.
Cheers!
You
To the future.
Yeah. Whatever that holds.
Lots of t-shirts of Emma. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Your Call to Action. We're gonna kick it straight up, and we have Jack from MRI Marketing. Oh. Jack, thanks for coming on, man.
No worries.
So, let's just dive right in. What is your situation right now? What are you doing? And then, how did you get here? This is I want to know your journey. I want to know how it all started.
Yeah, okay, cool. Well, I'll just start with what I do. So
Sure.
I work in growth marketing, so I help tech startups and businesses scale online. So a lot of digital marketing, a lot of metrics-focused marketing, and really what we're about is setting a strategy and then delivering that strategy with your team in-house or as a project. So it's always changing what we do. We've worked with over 200 companies the last few years, which has been great. And we've seen a lot across the scene. So that's given us a real sort of insight and understanding of what it comes to growing a business. How I got into it, really by accident.
Wow.
I started in accounting.
You studied accounting?
I studied accounting, yes. So
The whole way?
yeah, I finished my degree. Marketing was my other major. It was at UWA.
Oh.
But yeah, it was kind of funny how I got into that as well. I was just doing an accounting program in high school because that's what I thought I wanted to do when I was at school. I thought I wanted to go be an accountant, kind of like my mum. That's where the inspiration sort of came from for me. And
What's up, Mum?
Yeah, thanks, Mum. I just got a phone call. I remember in high school, I'd gone through this massive application process. It was 10,000 people going for these only 10 trainee positions that were available for the state. And I just got a phone call out of the blue on my way to a hockey game saying, "You've got the job." And so I'm 17 years old. Not really knowing what I wanted to do, but I guess I was like, "Oh, this will, I'll try this first," and that's kind of what I started with. Yeah.
Wow. So you were parents "What do you want to be when you grow up, son?" And then you're accounting, and then you get this job that is really tight and hard to get, and then you're cool.
Yeah.
And so what happened then?
Well, so I was only 17, so I was like, "Oh, okay." So I finished off my high school exams and I could go into uni, and it was pretty much a scholarship kind of arrangement where I had to work full-time, study part-time. So for 2 years of my degree, I was working crazy hours, but it was really good fun. I learnt a lot. They gave me a lot of good training, really enjoyed working there and with the team. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I was I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life, just audit accounts and a lot of, debits and credits, really.
It wasn't your cup of tea, just looking at the numbers,
well,
crunching someone else's books?
Yeah. I just wanted to be a bit more creative, and I just wanted to I knew that business, was my passion, and accounting is kind of the maths, your fundamental maths of business. So being able to understand the accounting has really helped me in my career, and I think it's something, that everyone needs to do at some point. No matter where you go in business, you're going to need to understand numbers. So
yes, absolutely.
That was kind of, I guess, why I did it, or I at least felt more comfortable with my original decision after doing it for a while, yeah.
So then you're at this transition, you're okay, I like doing accounting, but then I got into it and it's still okay, but it's just not it's not getting you excited when you get up in the
Yeah.
morning and you wanted to just explore.
Yeah.
And so when did you realize that? Were you 6 months in? Or
No, actually, it was towards the end of my degree. So, I was looking at, because after you work at, in that accounting firm for a while, they're like, okay, we want to offer you or look at, graduate pathways that you can go into and stuff. And so I was considering that, but also was thinking, well, maybe I should try consulting, or maybe I should try working with sort of private clients or smaller businesses or something like that, because there's a lot of like growth there and it's really exciting, and they're changing too, so that it'd be more exciting, at least for the numbers. But then I thought, consulting would be good. So then I tried to learn management consulting, which is such a weird and wonderful world of itself. You've got 3 sort of big major players in that space who dominate a lot of the big projects, like across mining and ag and health and
who are they?
Large data sets. So that's like McKinsey, Bain and BCG.
Oh, okay.
So they do all like the big projects with like bigger data sets. And if you think about it, like if those types of businesses improve by a little bit, which is what you're sort of there to do as a consultant, the impact can be millions, sometimes billions of dollars on their bottom line. So, it makes sense that industry exists, because, when that business is more established and older and those incremental changes are done, like the impact's huge. So,
I gotta ask. So did you graduate at this point?
no. So I was still studying
Accounting.
and I was doing some volunteer work. And that's kind of how I ended up at Bloom, which is co-working space.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that's where it all started for you. Okay.
Yeah, in terms of the startup and e-commerce and that kind of like tech kind of scene.
I've known Jack passively for like 3 years.
Yeah, at
And
least.
we've just seen each other back and forth through different community groups in the startup community, and just seeing this guy grow, it's been really, really encouraging to see. So it's really nice, obviously, to have him here and talk about this.
Oh, thanks, man.
And yeah, absolutely. Like, there's a lot of people that get into the early stage startup have some pretty wild expectations and fall off and recognize it's a lot harder of a grind than what it can be facade to be. Just like any industry, like startup, early stage business, it's no different than any career. You got to put the work in. So, hats off to what's going on here.
Thanks.
So then you're like in the Bloom community, and you're getting nurtured with these guys and getting surrounded by other people. And obviously, they've got different groups and courses. And were you a part of the team then? Were you?
Yeah. So I just started by just going to workshops, and because they used to run 50 events a week or something crazy. And they had the thing called a pitch night, which is kind of like Shark Tank, where students and young entrepreneurs would get up and they'd pitch their ideas and try and, I guess, build a team around that idea, and then try and progress it a bit further. Maybe go and do the +8 accelerator, or go do something else, which is like where you get investment and can raise money off the back of that. So they were all these really really awesome young people that I was surrounded by, and they were kind of in the same boat as me. They were like, should I work in corporate? Should I work in mining because we're in Perth? Or do I, try something a bit different? And some of them ended up doing something a bit different, which is really awesome. But a lot of them ended up just getting grad jobs and taking that experience as, skill building and a learning experience. And so I started doing marketing for Bloom, and then helped grow that community as well.
Was Jake there? If I remember, there's a couple of guys that were doing the marketing in Bloom.
Yeah.
I forgot their names.
How far back are we talking here? I mean, I was there since 2014 or so.
2018, 2019.
You
a
had
couple of years ago.
You had heaps of people.
Yeah. Because I know that they had a couple of guys. I was running that show for a while. Leadership changed over, then they changed it again, and then that young girl came along and started to really fire it up again. I forgot her name, but I see her a lot.
Who, Elizabeth?
I think so.
Knight?
Yeah. Good, really nice girl.
Yeah. So there's been so many great young leaders, and and stuff that have come out of that community. If you go back and look through, you'll probably find that they've touched Bloom at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you're helping do the marketing for some of these guys, and you're learning, because when you want to jump into consulting, it's really hard to bullshit your way through when you haven't done it yourself.
Are you saying consultants are bullshit?
Sometimes.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And
They are.
So in the approach, like when you're going through this, like how did you address that when you were going through it yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like anything, like you gotta get some initial work to get some experience. So just working for free, basically, like helping out my friends, like they want to run a set of Facebook ads. I'd just like learn and figure it out, and then sometimes I got paid, sometimes I didn't, but it didn't matter because I was learning. I was gaining experience and also just making all these awesome connections, which, still benefit from today and really appreciate. And just being around, and you kind of just start to absorb stuff like a sponge, Yeah.
So then what happened after that, where you're in Bloom, you're cruising through, you're helping all these guys? Did any of those businesses stand out?
Yeah, there was a couple that made it through Plus 8 Accelerator, and
stood out for you.
For me, as in that I was working on, or I did some early work on a company was called Idle back then, but Dylan's still going, and they've since pivoted to Stay On Hire, so they work with hiring,
Yes, I know the one. Yeah.
Yeah, so now they've got a full system and good bit of tech there, so that's pretty exciting. Other one which I've been working on even now at Ammo is called Hum.
Yes, I know the Hum boys,
Ian and Ahmed and Chris and Tim, who are original co-founders, and they actually went through the whole sort of startup growth phase, and they're still growing today. So that's been really awesome, that project, and I've been fortunate enough to work with them the last 2 years.
Wow.
Which has been fun. So learning lots and helping them grow. And there are a couple of highlights from my experience. I think really I know it sounds corny, but really the best thing that's come out of Bloom, or the best highlight for me, has just been knowing all those people. And so one of my friends from the space, which is how I got the job at Ammo, they've just raised a $10 million VC fund. Which is crazy to do that at such a young age, and also build those connections over time, and then all of a sudden raise that fund in 150 days to invest back into the tech and startup communities.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
That is very good. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Is this, you're a part of that process?
No. So that's Adrian Peterson, and he actually used to work at Ammo.
Really?
Yeah. So, and that's how I got the job at Ammo too. There was this, basically I was in my honors year, doing marketing and doing research on sort of startups and people in that space. And his mail arrived one day, in the space for Adrian, and I was like, "Hey dude, your mail's here." And he's like, "Oh, so you want to apply for the marketing job at Ammo?" I said, sure.
Wow.
And so I just met him for coffee, just around the corner there, from Bloom, and he's like, "No, I think you'd be good. Read this book. It's called Traction." I was okay. I checked out Traction. They sent me a case study, and then I was pitching the case study to Cam the next week, and then he hired me 2 days a week while I was trying to finish off my degree. So that's kind of how I got a foot in the door there.
So what year was this? Was this
2016?
2016? Oh, yeah. That's when it started.
16, yeah. Cam. Yeah.
Yeah, Cam's a good guy. So in 2016, and then when did you graduate? Was it 2020?
2017 was when I had my ceremony, But I would have wrapped up the degree the year before.
It's they always take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
All right, so 2017, and then you're done, and you were doing a couple of days with Cam.
Yep.
So you got these other days going on.
Yep.
And then from here, what happened then?
What happened then? 2017. So I remember that was a good year because I was booking trips. So I started like going to New York, started going to Europe, like doing fun, like holidays and stuff. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Bus tours, things like that.
Pre-COVID days.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Yeah,
we'll be back.
sure.
Yeah, the cool thing was that one of the guys who used to work at Ammo, he moved over to New York. So we had a guy in New York in co-working spaces doing the same stuff, same growth marketing stuff that we're doing here in Perth in New York. So when I went over, I stayed for a month and just like got to trip around the WeWorks and spaces with him and just just learn what's going on there and help like this like pet business, and there was a fashion brand he was working with, and it was all this really cool stuff. Yeah.
Was the cultural attitude of business mentality at that time, and when we're talking that time, we're technically talking
2017 to 2019, I guess.
We're talking
trips, or 2018.
Yeah, we're talking like 43 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And so, in that approach, was the difference between the Australian economy and how we do things compared to the United States approach? Did you see a variation? And what what did that
definitely
look like to you?
Yeah, well, like in terms of the sort of approach to business, like they just launch in. Like they don't worry about failure or anything. Like I found at the time here in Perth, we were a bit more conservative. The startup ecosystem was a bit younger as well. So there weren't really those like stories. Like Canva was getting up there at that time, I remember, as like, I guess, a story for the ecosystem. And that was kind of one of the ones that everyone was like, go, go, go. But still wasn't at their unicorn phase yet, you know? So there were a couple of companies that had done it here in Australia, but compared to the US and you know, where I was in New York and then later Silicon Valley, like those are two, you know, massive startup hubs already that are like way more mature, have such a different approach to business. One where, you know, it was pretty hard work, but I think also what made me realize is that like ultimately they're doing those things because they just want to set up a good, like they still want the same balance and the same things that we want here, right? Like anywhere you go in the world, people still want to create like, you know, more wealth for themselves and their families, better living conditions, you know, create an impact with an idea or a business. Everyone still fundamentally wants those things. It's just a different way of getting there, I guess. And some like work really hard and push for it and work crazy hours when they don't really need to. And others are a bit, I think, more smarter about it and go at a bit of a slower pace. So I guess just like understanding how fast you want to grow and then
let me touch on that for a second.
Is like, yeah.
So you're like saying they're really hard and really fast, but they don't really need to. Can you just tell me what's your thought process on building business? Like if they're going really hard and really strong and you think they could probably pull back a bit, why do you think like this?
Because I guess at the end of the day, like it's going to depend on your customer. Like your customer is going to buy on a few different things. They might buy on your brand. And a brand usually takes more time to build. People don't trust things straight away. They're like, oh yeah, there's this new hot thing or whatever. Like they want to see that you put in the hard work over time to build trust and you're genuine. I think there's other products where you can get away with it. Like you can grow quickly because if you're kind of like, I don't know, in an Amazon or something, where it's like, oh yeah, I just want books. I just want stuff on demand. Cool. Don't even really care. Like you're so convenient and fast and wicked at that. I don't even really care what the brand is. And now after time, I guess people are starting to care more about Amazon's brand. But, you know, back in the day, they were like, this is a cool thing that solves my problem quickly. I'll buy it. It's more of a transaction. So I think it depends on that use case or that customer as to whether it's you want to grow fast or slow, I think. I think that's kind of the idea that I have around growth anyway in that sense.
I'm very interested. I'm going to come back to this.
Yeah, cool. You can come back.
I'm very, very interested to come back to that. So you've spent your time, you're like getting all this exposure, getting all this learning from being overseas, spending time in the United States. Did you also go to the the United Kingdom in Germany, like Europe, or was it just
I
mostly
didn't
States?
really get to do much business there. I like traveled there with family and friends and
chilling
stuff.
and hanging
Yeah,
out.
just chill.
Just being
Yeah,
a young
it was-
guy and just
yeah.
cruising the countries.
Yep. Yeah.
Damn it, I hate being old. So you came back. When did you decide to I'm going to settle down and start mowing into work? When did
What do
that
you mean?
kick in?
What do you mean, Mo? What do you mean?
Mowing into work, like you decided to come back and then not travel so much and then just go forward. Was this up because that was right up to about 2019?
Yeah, well, I mean, literally, I always enjoy traveling.
Oh, it's always just been a thing.
Yeah, this has always been a thing for me. I think it's just like, COVID that's obviously put a stop to it. I'd still be doing it now.
Okay. Oh, so you would be. Okay.
I reckon. Yeah. The good thing is that I guess, I just need an internet connection and a laptop to do my job, really. So it's pretty mobile. I've needed to be in the community here to help build up, ammo and work with the team and hash out all that hard stuff in the beginning. But, we're pretty remote friendly now, I think, as a company.
I'm getting a little confused. So you're with Ammo doing 2 days a week, and while you're with Ammo 2 days a week, you're also just going to the States?
No, I was full time probably at this point. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'd full on. I'd take holidays or I'd work remote over there for Ammo at the same time.
Wow.
But I'd just be working on Perth clients in New York, or I'd be working on Perth clients in San Francisco.
Tell me how that came out, because I know so many people that think working remote is sometimes there is still a very traditional factor of I kind of want to talk to you face to face.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to work with you face to face. So if you go cruising, how do I know you're not just going to be chilling on a beach all day long and not actually working?
Yeah.
And so how did you guys work through that in your culture and when you guys were working together?
Yeah, well, the main thing, and I mean, most of the problems that happen with your customers are going to come from communication. So we just made the habit of over-communicating. So, when things are done, hey, this has all been set up for you. Let us know if you have any issues. It looks awesome. Or weekly updates, monthly reporting. We did a face-to-face, or I guess a video-to-video meeting once a month. And it was an update on all your metrics, what's going on in growth, what campaigns are running, things like that. So those are the kind of processes we've got in place. I think in just a general rule of thumb, you want to be an over-communicator if you can be. You know what I mean? Without obviously being I've changed my email address to ammo.marketing instead of ammo marketing out.
Quality.
Yeah. Quality. You still want to communicate with quality, even if you are over-communicating. So yeah, and I think you get a sense, you kind of know, sticking to your sort of values on it as well, I think is really important. And, and it just comes down to picking the right customers as well. If you do work with a customer or a business who does need more of that face-to-face, well, hey, we're not for you. We're not for everyone. That's okay. You need an internal marketer, or you need someone who can sit next to you and be like, hey, man, I have an idea. Can you set up that website for me, that landing page for me? I mean, does that sound familiar, Jesse?
It's very regular.
So, those types of business owners, founders, or, they need that
spontaneity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, if we can give it to them in a way that's on a monthly, cadence, or, as projects and things arise. But no, we've got to...
So to just bring that back, because we're talking about ammo marketing a fair bit now.
Yeah, okay.
So somewhere in that journey, you're working with ammo, and now you're working there, and you have seen the progression, and I'm sure Cam will break this down a bit more. But from your perspective...
To be continued in his episode.
Yes. How did it look for the approach when, your business practices initially? Because I'm assuming Cam or yourself would have initiated the first connection because you guys were working to consult with these people and then bring them on to help them grow their marketing. And then what you're talking about just now is where you would do those monthly updates, weekly updates, and alike. Is that right?
Yeah, but I don't do as much of that now. So that was probably more my previous role. Like I've got maybe a couple that are like that.
Okay.
But yeah, now I'm doing workshop stuff and I'm looking after marketing our own business and trying to grow that. So my role's kind of changed.
And that's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
That's where you're at now.
Yeah. But
Cool.
sorry, I didn't answer the question, I don't think. What was the question?
It was more around like the business model practices in the beginning.
Yeah.
To get to where what you're doing, like what you were doing in the business.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of the question. Like,
Yeah.
what were the business model practices you were doing in the business
Oh, it was
initially?
just mucking up and learning.
It was just learning.
It was just like our business model changed so many times. Just even as a services business, like since I started. So in the beginning, it was just sort of one-off projects and websites and maybe a Facebook ads campaign or something like that. But now it's like a full service sort of growth, metrics-driven strategy that we deliver over time. So it kind of, just pivoted and changed. And, we kind of, at every point, it was tricky for our customers, right? Because we would make this announcement, okay, we're going to switch to a monthly subscription now. If you want to work with us, we're changing our business model so that we're going to be a monthly subscription. And so half of our customers were like,
why did that happen? Yeah, I can imagine, right? Like, fuck that, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But the ones that stick with you obviously can see the value.
They're still with us, like 5-6 years.
So why did you choose to do that? What happened in what was the decision thought process to choose to go this way?
Yeah, so there were a couple of factors. Obviously, Liam, who started with me, and I were going full time now. So straight away that increases the overheads of your business by a lot. And Cam was by himself, so he's used to being a freelancer, like just like cruising around. But now he's got mouths to feed. Now he's got staff. So, okay, we need retention and we need to cover our overheads. But we also want to keep doing the work we're doing and deliver value. So how can we do that? Well, recurring revenue model, which is like, obviously adopted widely now as the go-to for lots of businesses. Because straight away you're starting to cover your overhead, which gives you some freedom to try all the fun stuff and do projects on the side or build products and things like that as well. And it gets that sort of cash flow worry out of your mind because you know that the billing's coming in each month, you're covering the salaries. If you can do it over time and even increase the value of the work you can do, you can raise your prices then as well. And then all of a sudden you've raised the value of your recurring revenue model and the business. And so all of a sudden you go from earning like a few $100,000 a year to like $500,000-$600,000 a year over the course of like 3 or 4 years. So
that's amazing. So you recognize these opportunities to expand and actually solidify. No, you recognize the opportunity to solidify the core service model.
Yep.
Scale that bad boy up.
Yep.
Those who accept the new direction.
Yep.
Jump on the journey.
Yep.
Those who choose not to accept the direction, leave as friends.
Yeah, at least, or they come back,
Or come back
after they've grown. Maybe they weren't ready for that kind of offering. They go away, they do some growing themselves, and then they come back and that offering's perfect now. That's what we need.
I totally understand when it's a subscription structure because I get like the payment requirements. It's hard depending on which side of the fence you sit on. Like if you see it like. Because when Cam had shared it with me, I was like, I could see the potential of what it's like. Effectively, it's paying. You could either pay for someone to be internally, or you can pay for the team to be a part of it. It's effectively the choice is one or the other.
1 or 5 people. Like, what are you going to choose?
And then you just choose between that team, and it's a very similar model to what we do here. Like, they either choose to have an in-house structure at KeepSpace, or they choose to have an external structure of the same process. So marketing, operations, it's still technically a very similar model. And I do agree with the model direction that you've taken. I can see the benefits for it, especially if the strengths of the existing team that is focused on product development or different operations, or they focus more on legal or accounting, as you would state. and or maybe they're really good at sales, but just marketing is just a. But this is a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
You and I are both in business, and we both know the importance of marketing. Marketing can be considered, quite frankly, another skill tree within the business that can sort of be subsided if it depends on the buyer persona per se. Is not whether how strong it is, if it's performance driven or if it does really need a brand. And building brands is it's hard work. And sometimes like I struggle with if the brand can be built externally. I've really struggled with that.
Your
for
customers
so
build it.
long.
It's what your customers say about you behind your back.
Tell me what you think on that. Yeah.
I think, well, yeah. I mean, it's going to depend on a few things, right? Your product for one. So is the quality of it good? Do you want to be cheap or do you want to be high end? If you're a services business like us, our brand is our people. So we have to take a good hard look at ourselves and be like, okay, what are the types of people that we want to be that are different, but also going to add value in the community, and let's be like them as much as we can and get better every day, as you know, as humans, but as marketers. And if we're doing that, then people are going to notice. People are going to recognize that. They're going to say, hey, these guys actually give a shit about not just us, but improving themselves. And they're going to want to hire you over, you know, taking their person away from admin and doing the marketing, or, you know, hiring a junior who could kind of do some, like a fair few of the things we do, but, you know, to what level, and then is there the strategy component as well? Because if you go out and hire a CMO, like they're going to cost you 150 grand plus a year. Junior marketer probably going to cost you 70 grand a year or whatever. Like I guess it's a different offering altogether, but you know, those are straight up numbers that are going to come across your desk, you know, as soon as you start. So the brand component of that, I guess to come back to your question, is I think if you're a business to consumer product now, a direct to consumer product, you should be investing in content and brand. Like those are probably the two most common things that I see.
He's right.
And they work. They work. You could, run ads and paid performance marketing, but unless you have a good email list and those two things solid with like a product that people trust, then those performance ads or marketing aren't going to work.
I completely agree, because I know you can put a Google advertisement campaign. You can throw $1,000 if you're at the early stage, or $10K if you're at the higher stage. But if you just bring the leads to a website, but the website is dry and it doesn't have any soul, it's so quick to see that, and it's so fast to recognize it, and it's so devastating. But the other side is that it's like creating content is it's time consuming.
It is,
it is expensive. Like getting gear, getting a room, getting content like this. It's not something you can just whip up in a day. And it's, I almost would say, in all true honesty, and you and I would know, it has to almost become lifestyle and something that's committed without any expectation of return for 6 months.
At least.
Flat.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly, at least. And so then, because we've been at this for a while.
Yeah.
And you don't get anything in the beginning.
No.
But then the bank up of what you stand for, what you say, what you believe, like Simon Sinek, if you believe in something and then you share it, if other people align with that direction, usually you're good. And then throw the performance marketing at it, because then it stretches it and then brings it forth. And then they come to something that they like, okay, I clicked on the ad, I'm here at the site.
Yeah.
What the fuck's this site saying? Oh, I like this, tick. I like that, tick. I like that, tick, lead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, but that ain't something you whip up in 3 months. You know, like you gotta crack on that.
Yeah.
So
you gotta learn, and you gotta fail, and you gotta not be afraid to skin your knee, I guess. Like it's a crazy.
Do you help people get through this? Like, do you help I don't know, say Because we got guys that are still trying to figure this out.
Yeah. I think everyone is. We've been running our podcast for 2 years. Still not happy with the numbers, but I guess what I am happy with is, every time we talk to someone, they're like, "Oh, great podcast, man." Or they're like, "I listen to it when I walk my dog." I was like, "Sweet, thanks." But it's just a sort of another touch point of our brand, I guess. That's kind of like the way I see it. It's the start of our sort of flywheel in terms of growth. It educates customers. It gets them to sort of see what it would be like to work with us, which is really important. So, all of that sort of stuff can be upfront, and then when they do get to the site or they do get to meeting us for coffee, the expectations have kind of been set because we've had frank conversations like this. We've got all that sort of belief system and why, as you say, all out in the open. And if they wanna do that too, then let's work together.
So, where to take it from here? Like there are
getting deep.
Yeah,
got deep.
I like it. I'll give you a kiss later. With the industry as itself, you've seen the industry, you see the other guys in this space. Mm-hmm. What's your expectation on the industry today here, just in Perth, Western Australia, and then we'll look at what do you see how the industry's going?
Well, things that are making me happy. So more money is coming in. You got Better Labs Fund, you're getting more VC private equity money coming through and money coming back into Perth as well, which is great. More mature sort of founders, which are now sort of leveling other people up, who can then go and raise money or start their own product. It's going to come from, the people who are even younger than me, so that's all exciting.
Breaking my heart, man. things that are maybe not so good in Perth. Sometimes we're forgotten about a bit, but it's also, I guess, I always like to see the positives in that. So it gives us a good test environment and it makes us sort of tougher and stronger, so that when we do go to bigger markets, we can really, capitalize on that and we kind of have a good playground, I guess. See what works. It is true in Perth. If you can survive a company and make it work here, it usually has a great potential to work over there.
Yeah.
In the east coast of Australia, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, what's then getting? I'm not too sure if there's anything else I really wanted to ask because it kind of covers a lot of what you've been going through, and then what you stand for growth marketing. It's very interesting. And I know I've seen you guys around a fair bit. If we were if there was someone who was watching, and I'm not trying to be super promo or anything, but because I do like your ruggedness. I like that you don't bullshit. You're pretty straightforward, and I know you've been growing in this space, and you got the credibility for sure. And if you guys are interested to definitely see more, he's definitely got some cool channels, which we'll add into the links below. What is it if we were wanting to just be interested in jumping in with you? What's usually the first couple of things you're trying to look for to see if it's a good fit? Yeah.
So obviously existing customers and actually revenue is normally most of the clients that we work with on a longer term basis, they've already gone through understanding who their customer is, at least at that level. So there's that. Often, they're at a stage where they're looking to scale up, or they might just be testing a new idea completely and not have any customers. In that case, we might just catch up with them for a coffee and be like, do these things. And we usually do that for free for an hour. And then we'll see you in 6 months or a year, and then just check in on them on LinkedIn and email and stuff. But yeah, normally they've, for a growth marketer, I guess, to be effective in their role, they need data. So they need to be able to have channels that are up and running, a bit more traction and sales going, so they can then identify the opportunities and the sort of links within the data, and then be like, okay, let's focus on that channel now and ramp that up. So you've got to be able to turn the dial up and down and measure things. And so if you haven't actually got that initial customer base, it's really hard to do because you're still in that exploration stage. So we can't guarantee that it'll work. And even then can't guarantee that it'll work. It's like, so often we're actually spending a lot of our time talking people out of working with us.
Wow.
Than working with us because they're still like new and the company's still growing and we can be effective like for certain periods on and off in the beginning, but until you're really like humming along and going, like, so yeah, you're not going to get as much out of it.
So just to hear what you're saying here, are you usually communicating with a lot of the early stage businesses and it's quite evident that they do show potential, they're just not ready?
Yeah.
All right, cool. But if they do have 12 months of life going into them and they have solved a couple of the challenges and now they're at a stage where they're into their second or third year, then in that second or third year, that's when it starts to show a potential of alignment with what you guys are doing and how you could turn it forward. Cool.
Yeah, and I mean, there are some early things that you can do, which I'm sure Cam will talk about in his episode, like going out and getting in the press and like hustling and just like even like what we did in the beginning with our business, just like being at every event and like just trying to just meet people and hustle that way. Does it take a lot out of it? Because what you did is exactly the same sort of practices that any early stage business should do. Like just being out there all the time. Yeah. How many events would you do like every week? I probably do a few a week. Like like it comes sort of in ebbs and flows, but sort of at the height of things, like Cam and I were just like at everything in Perth. Like we were pretty much at everything that involved startup, tech, or investment in those sorts of senses, whether it be in angel events or we'd just rock up, wear the Amma shirt, all of that. And it was like pretty, like, I guess not in your face, but in the early days, it was kind of like the classic, startup shirt everywhere. Hey man, I'm doing this thing, come check me out. But now I think because we've been able to build that brand over time, we don't have to be as aggressive. Other people are referring for us and doing that job for us. We've got people who have worked with years ago who are now like, oh, I spoke to such and such, they'll be in touch with you, or such and such referred me to you. And I haven't spoken to them in like 3 or 4 years. I'm like, oh, wicked.
So it's really a lot, like, and it's actually touching on a really good point. Yeah. It's like you sow a buttload of seeds. You just like, you just farm it.
Numbers game.
You're just playing it out there.
Yeah.
And so then, and as you're building that credibility, now you built it with me like years ago, you and Cam. I love Cam. I fucking love him. I think he's a soul of the earth kind of guy, don't bullshit too much.
Country boy.
Yeah. And the fact that, would it be fair to say he did a bit of mentoring with you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then being able to brush off that branch and I think it's really cool to see how much, because it's super fucking evident you care about the community. I love businesses that care about this community because, like, between you and me, like, I fucking hate people that come in and will sell you some snake oil and get you some bullshit conversion opportunities, rip 5K out of your pocket and say, oh, it didn't work out, so sorry. Yeah. See you next week. And I'll be like, motherfucker. Yeah. Like, I've seen a couple of people get super burned from marketing agencies. Yeah. And then they're like,
it sucks.
I will never trust another marketing
We hate them.
And I mean, some of them stick around for a couple of years and then they're out. It takes a while for them to die off. But it's hard to, you know what I'm saying?
You might die already.
It's just hard to show truth of, like, just keeping humble, being real, and just being able to show, even though you still have to make pay, you got to make payroll, you got to cover the costs.
Profit with value or with purpose. You can still profit.
Exactly. And I mean, I think it's really cool that you guys are doing it. So, like, guys, if you are interested in getting into marketing, you do want to have a conversation, I would totally recommend these guys to give it a crack. Because like
Too nice.
they've been around for a while, and you know they've got the edge on them. So if let's just say, because you do get a lot of the younger ones that come through. Let's just say I've been around for 2 years, and I'm wanting to lift my game. And as a call to action to finish this off, what would be something that you would encourage, say myself or the business that's going through at 2 years old, got a product, I'm going along. What do you think would be a great thing for me to continue to do in the next couple of days?
Okay. Go check out our podcast, With Growth. You know, we've had conversations like this with a whole bunch of other founders who've either done it, scaled up, you know, raised money, all those things. There's lots of cool like marketing insights from that, and we're actually about to go back through all the episodes and do notes, like more detailed notes. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we're always happy just to have a coffee with people, like just catch up or a phone call, and just, you know, give them some free advice, because you know, the whole like reason why the startup community is able to grow and succeed is people who have been around for longer telling people who are newer and fresher in the space, hey, don't do that thing, it fucked me up, you don't want to copy that. So I think it's really just about sharing the sort of fuck ups as much as it is sharing what you do next.
So continue to learn by listening to your podcasts, reach out to the community, and learn from the experience and failures of others.
Just rock up, be everywhere.
Cool.
You know?
Very good. Jake, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Jesse.
Have a great day, everyone. See you later.